Within me! Within me! Dad, within me!
Okay, son. Okay.
Get in the plane! Quick!
Okay,
Get in the
darling.
plane! I warned you, Dad!
Follow me!
Welcome to the Mad Max Minute. Let's not do the wrong thing, and I swear it might be fun. It's a long way down when you're watching Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome 1 minute at a time. I'm Rick.
I'm Julia.
And today we're talking about minute 93, which begins with Jedediah Jr. disappearing into a hole in the ground, and it ends with Jedediah playing dumb with Max. Wrapping up the week with us are a veritable bouquet of gin blossoms, Liz and Karen.
Hello.
Hey. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having us back.
Hey, it has been quite the week. This is quite the change of pace from season 2. Having you on for 3 episodes straight instead of just one and done.
It's very exciting.
I like it.
Yeah.
And I'm particularly pleased with being involved with, in this week, because you get, the whole full arc of, pathos and then humor. I like it. Thank you so much for having us.
It was a really good week.
Yeah. Way better than that one week where it was just Max staring at the plane and then being all mopey.
Yes.
But that's
like
then.
half the movie.
That
Max
was
being
then.
mopey.
This is now.
Times are tough.
When we left Jedediah Jr. on Wednesday, he was doing a valiant effort trying to pull that trunk closed, or boot, or whatever people call it. And at the top of this minute, he has to redouble his efforts because appearing over the edge of the rocky ridge is Max and all of the others. So he has to really just hunker down, pull on that rope, and down slams the hood. Boot, trunk, whatever.
I can't help but wonder if he had been able to close the boot before Max and the group crested the ridge and witnessed the closing of the boot. Would they have crested the ridge and seen nothing at all and not known where he went and been mystified and lost the trail?
I mean, that would be the purpose of this, disguised entrance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I think is really a clever entrance. I really like that.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
Because that car looks like it's part of the environment.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like the sort of thing where someone crashed a car there so many years ago and they just let it there to rust.
Yeah, just abandoned in the wasteland.
This would definitely be the time in the RP when the DM would have you check for traps.
Correct, yes. Or, I guess it depends on which edition of D&D these days.
Be an investigation check at least.
Oh.
Right?
3rd edition D&D, I know elves had that secret door advantage. They could find a secret door.
Yeah,
it was the weirdest thing, but yeah.
Because you've got your adventuring party and they're pursuing a target. They let the target get far enough ahead of them that they don't have line of sight. So as they crest the ridge, obviously they'd have the thing described to them. And I guess the DM would probably make them do a perception check?
That would be perception.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm used to...
Well, there's a search skill.
I'm used to some systems. I'm not used to all systems.
In the storyteller system, the White Wolf systems, that would definitely be perception. It would be wits perception. In D&D, as far as I've played, my old lady age now as a 3.5er and not really beyond, that would be it would either be perception or I feel like there was a search skill. It's just been a while, but I'm pretty sure it's search.
So if we put ourselves in this situation, and I just had the most amazing idea that I want someone to do so that way I can go there and enjoy this and not have to do it my own self. In the escape room of Mad Max, you walk into the room with your party and suddenly all you see is this back end of a car and you know that the person in the hallway you were just chasing is there. Would you just check the car?
Yeah. I mean, he is tiny. He might be hiding in this trunk of a car.
I think the strategy that Jedediah Jr. is banking on is that the people that are chasing after him are obviously in a hurry. He saw how many pursuers there are. He knows that it's a large group. He knows that they're going to move slowly. So he's hoping that these folks are going to be in such a rush that they don't stop to look around. They just see the car as another piece of set dressing and they run right past it. Trouble is, because it took so long for him to slam that trunk closed, either they saw it swung closed or they heard it slam closed.
Well, I mean, children just don't disappear into... Well, all right. Usually, Like, people don't just disappear into this. So clearly he went somewhere. And if the only where to find is there, and not only that, but he was a little kid by himself, I can't imagine this wouldn't be like, you're a sailor, you're adrift at sea, and suddenly you see like a seagull, like a bird you know wouldn't be that far from shore. Not only that, but this kid's got arms. Like, he's got not like actual arms, but like he's carrying weapons. So, like, there has to be something. So, yeah, I can't...
Like he has a shelter somewhere nearby.
Yeah. I mean, unless he really is the most badass, like, first grader in the wasteland, which I'm not ruling out.
Okay, yeah.
Speaking of the idea of being the most badass first grader in the wasteland, I don't think it would be a fight that would ever happen. But back in Road Warrior, we had the feral kid. And here in Beyond Thunderdome, we have Jedediah Jr. I know that there are a lot of children to choose from. We have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to child actors to choose from. But if we had to take two of those kids, put them in a pack and play, and force them to fight...
So if we put them in a mini Thunderdome, in my first Thunderdome...
So, Feral Kid versus Jedediah Jr. I'm going to give Feral Kid his metal boomerang. I'm going to give Jedediah Jr. probably not the giant shotgun, probably just the M1 carbine.
In my mind, it's going to be like Hot Shots, where they go to do that, and like Charlie Sheen's character dips his knuckles in like caramel and then in like gummy bears because they're children and there has to be candy.
The problem with the setup is that Thunderdome requires melee weapons for the most part. And both of the weapons that Feral Kid and Jedediah Jr. have are ranged weapons. So they don't really fit into the environment. They would kind of have trouble using them. Not that it would be impossible, but it wouldn't be optimal.
I'm going with Feral Kid, though.
I think his ferocity might be his advantage.
Even without his boomerang, he's a scrapper.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, we don't know about Jedediah Jr. He's clearly a bit of a scrapper himself.
But he's still with his dad, whereas Feral Kid had no people.
It's true, and I get the impression that the Jedediahs, like, they're a lot of bark and less bite.
Or at least...
Whereas the feral kid will literally bite you.
How sad is it that the kid is the muscle in that gang?
There does seem to be a sense of civilization or culture to the Jedediahs that would typically prevent Jedediah Jr. from using some tactics that the feral kid would have no qualms about. Really, the down and dirty stuff. Scratching, biting.
Yeah.
Hair pulling.
Eye gouging.
Yep.
Yeah, the really nasty stuff that most kids probably wouldn't stoop to, but the feral kid would.
Oh, you remember that one scene in the Watchmen movie where young Walter Kovacs bites the face off of another kid?
Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be like that.
And I would consider that character practically feral.
Yeah.
He was extremely brutal.
Yeah.
The feral kid. You're not trapped in here with me. It's the other
No,
way.
I'm
Damn it. I'm just going to keep drinking until the words that come out of my mouth make
That's
some
what
sense.
this is for. Yep. Yeah. Cheers.
Thank you.
They lock the door on the Thunderdome and the feral kid just growls out, I'm not trapped in here with you.
Yep.
You're trapped in here with me.
Except it's the feral kid, so it's
You'd be like,
It's like an angry badger.
I do have to say this is a complete utter sidebar on a cosplay front, but
Sorry, are we on tangents right now?
We are, totally. I'm just going to ride the segue this way.
I was not expecting.
I saw the most amazing Rorschach costume. You know how they make those pillows and stuff with the sequins that go one way and they're one color? Someone made a Rorschach mask that was black on one side and white on the other.
That's genius.
It was so cool. Anyway, so
they're just sitting there rubbing their face.
yeah, like
and...
I watched this
When you put it
particular
that way.
person. I would say this guy, but I actually have no idea. This cosplayer, and they wiped their entire face white and then just did something random and then turned a corner. And every time they got bored, they just wiped their face again. And I just thought that was really neat and needed some lip service.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that idea of using the flippy sequins for a Rorschach mask is genius.
Yeah,
it's so clever.
So mad props, you.
Literal props.
Yeah, mad props.
I think what Jedediah Jr. has going for him as far as being a badass kid in the wasteland is the fact that he has access to so many toys and he knows how to use them. He is like a 9-year-old and he's got these big guns. He's setting up traps so he can capture a train. He knows how to fly. He is a tiny pilot, kind of like Short Round in Temple of Doom, where he probably has blocks on his feet to help him work the rudders and stuff like that. Whereas the feral child from the second movie is just a mean little son of a gun. He's also feral. He doesn't have the wherewithal that Jedediah Jr.
The socialization.
has. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could set up like the Kid Avengers of the Mad Max universe.
And Feral Kid is the Hulk.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like with Jedediah Jr. is like what he and his dad do. Like, they're the brainy ones. Like, if they didn't clearly want to keep themselves away from people as much as they do, they would be like the Wizard of Oz. They'd be like the man behind the curtain. Because they'd be keeping everyone away from them, just using cleverness. But really, they hole up in their little cave beneath the car, just not actually being that scary.
So as the trunk lid slams closed, obscuring Max and the others, because we see them coming over the hill as it slams shut, we get an opposite shot of them running down the hill, and we get to see everybody gathered together. Pig Killer is being helped along as he hobbles through the desert, and Max is carrying Master on his back.
Yeah.
Master must be so pleased to be riding piggyback once again. It was his natural position, and now he's returned to that.
It's just so comfortable.
Clinging tenaciously.
And as they all approach this vehicle, right around second 11, we get a very iconic shot. It is so iconic, it has its own Wikipedia page.
Whoa. Okay.
This camera angle that we see is often noted to be the trademark of filmmaker Quentin Tarantino, looking up out of the trunk as it opens. Although he did not invent it, Tarantino popularized the trunk shot, which is featured in Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, From Dusk Till Dawn, Kill Bill Volume 1, and Inglourious Basterds. Possibly the earliest trunk shot can be noted in the 1948 movie by Anthony Mann, though credited to Alfred L. Worker, He Walked by Night, when the police are inspecting the contents of a murder suspect's trunk. Another use of the shot is in the 1967 film In Cold Blood, directed by Richard Brooks, after the two outlaws crossed the borders of Mexico in a stolen car. The Wikipedia page then rightly gives credit to this movie, saying that the trunk shot appears in George Miller's movie Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, which means that this shot predates all of that other Tarantino stuff. It also appears in the John Hughes film Uncle Buck in 1989, wherein John Candy opens his trunk to reveal a tied-up teenager who cheated on Buck's niece. So,
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
I do remember that, yeah.
you can also find it in the 1992 film Sneakers, which contains a trunk shot when Robert Redford is kidnapped. There's also a trunk shot used in A Good Day to Die Hard, when John McClane and his son Jack find a trunk full of guns and ammo in a car that they're about to steal. Paul Thomas Anderson used the shot in his short film Cigarettes and Coffee in 1993. And in Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest in 2006, there is a scene with a similar perspective where Jack Sparrow, Elizabeth, and Norrington find a buried chest, and the camera looks up at them from inside the hole in the ground that the chest is buried in.
I guess that would also count as a trunk shot. Fair enough.
Now, my question is whether or not the dentistry scene in Little Shop of Horrors is a modification of the trunk shot, since you get a scene from inside the guy's mouth as Steve Martin is drilling
With
his
the
teeth.
dancing tongue.
Yeah.
A variation on a theme.
I do have to say Sneakers is legitimately my favorite movie ever made. So
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
Oh, I failed the both of you. I'm so sorry.
I've been in close proximity with Robert Redford, but I've never seen Sneakers.
And also Dan Aykroyd.
Well, Dan Aykroyd has hugged me, but that's another story entirely.
But close proximity is what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
Robert Redford walked right behind me.
Oh.
And then everyone
That's
at my
less-
dinner
that's less
table went
exciting.
quiet. No, it was not as exciting. No.
Anyways, regardless,
Yeah.
y'all should watch Sneakers.
I'm really curious to see. I'm going to have to go back and take a look at the older examples, though, because I'm curious to see, like, the inception of it. Though, not Inception, the movie. No, really. No.
I'm not surprised that it cropped up so often before Tarantino just grabbed it and ran with it, because Tarantino is one of those film buff types.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
He's very much like George Lucas. He'll call back to stuff that he's seen before. Like George Lucas was all about the old black and white serials and adventure movies and whatnot.
Yeah.
Tarantino much more into the 1960s, 1970s cinema exploitation type movies.
He really crams a lot of, like, references and homage into his movies. Like, it's always like a deliberate thing. It's like, all right, now here I'm going to invoke this movie, and here I'm going to take a look at this kung fu serial, like all sorts of stuff like that.
I think that's one of the reasons why I actually don't like his work. I was actually
That's too much.
bizarrely having this conversation yesterday. The acting is always good and the scripts are always fun, but I'm normally the kind of person who gets completely like absorbed in a movie. Like I don't remember the score. I don't understand like camera angles. Like that's not my wheelhouse, so I can really get into it. For some reason when Tarantino does it, it's almost like every time he does something, I can hear him like, did you see that? I learned about that in like, filmmaking 203. Like, for some reason, there's so much of a lampshade on it that I can't help but see how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
And it kind of ruins. So I love all of his movies. Like, I mean, I love having a conversation about Pulp Fiction, but I don't find them fun to watch because all I can do is, like, it's almost like he makes me want to deconstruct them as we're watching them. And I'm like, no, I just want to be somewhere other than here. So that's my Tarantino diatribe.
There's a conversation amongst the Movie by Minute podcast group of, can you ever go back and watch your movie like a normal viewer again? After you have dissected it minute by minute, can it ever just be a normal movie to you again? Some say yes, some say no.
Have you guys tried?
Okay, so quick note for our listeners. We are recording this vastly out of order. We have recorded a bunch of episodes ahead of this chunk of minutes, and this is more or less one of the last things we're recording this season. So
I can't imagine why.
Spoiler alert for minute 106.
So for the end of the movie, for one of the credit episodes, we went back and watched the whole movie again and talked about it as a whole for that episode. And it was a different movie to us than when we first started. Will we ever see it again like a first-time viewer? No, we won't.
The ability to see the gestalt is just kind of gone.
Yeah, I don't want to give away our final assessment.
Fair.
Because I want people to actually listen all the way through the end of the season.
No, tune in, listeners, for episode.
Well, no, but I mean, you don't even have to refer to this one. Like in other,
like Mad Max and Mad Max 2.
Road Warrior. Like, can you watch Road Warrior again?
I don't think we've actually sat down to watch the first and second movie since we finished doing those seasons.
Nope, we haven't. So I don't know the answer to that question.
I will say that at least, and I'm only speaking for myself here, my involvement in this project, thank you so much for involving the project, is a lot like playing Rock Band. Because there are certain, like, again, I take things as a whole as I kind of metabolize them. And then you look at Rock Band, it's like, oh, you know what? I never paid attention to the bass line on this song. Wait, the lyrics to that song this is seriously an entire song about the fact that he had a Heineken in his fridge that he didn't know where it came from. Like, so.
Well, wait a second. I need to know what song that was.
No, that somebody's Heine is like in my icebox.
Oh, say it ain't so.
One is letting me down. Yeah.
The song that you played to death in Rock Band 1.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Say it ain't so.
My love is a heartbreaker.
I've seen the drum solo in my head now.
And then you'll just, like, the floor will start to move as everything kind of goes up. But no, I've never really taken apart a movie like this before. So it's been a really cool kind of exercise. You have completely turned me on to the entire subgenre of podcasting, you monsters. Because what I needed were more podcasts.
Our job is done here.
Pack it up. Let's go.
Just when I think I'm out.
They pull back in.
So,
Sorry, were we talking about something?
Yeah, I don't even remember how we got on this tangent.
We were talking about the trunk shot.
yeah, we were talking about the
That's
trunk
right.
shot, and that made us start talking about how Tarantino is all referential and whatnot, kind of like Bruno Mars with music. But
Yeah.
it's gonna be really weird
Shots
when
fired.
Bruno Mars gets to the point where he starts to not parody, but like
Emulate himself.
emulate himself,
Reference himself? Yeah.
Thank you, Todd in the Shadows, for that idea.
Oh.
But anyway, getting back to the minute at hand, because as Max and all of them are looking down into the trunk, we get to see that Jedediah Jr. is climbing down a rope ladder, which rope ladders are all well and good, but the thing you can't do on a rope ladder is you can't do that cool thing where you grab either side and kind of hook your feet around the edge and then slide down.
No.
That's a cool move right there. That's one I've only ever done in video games, because if I ever did it in real life, I'd probably freak out and fall off the ladder.
And break your
my
leg.
fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Break everything.
It's a shame he didn't have a little tiny pair of gloves.
Oh, tiny gloves.
Little tiny gloves. Leather gloves. They would need to be leather to withstand the heat of that.
Friction.
Yeah.
How many other first graders would Junior have to roll in order to find a pair of gloves to fit his tiny little hands?
Oh, I thought you were going to say how many would he have to take down to make a pair of tiny gloves.
Oh, that's,
That's darker than
just
I was
the one,
only
really.
one,
Yeah.
That got dark.
I hang out with Rick too much.
Yeah. You should go back and listen to the glee in my voice when I was talking about the week where we had a bunch of child death.
Oh.
I was far too excited for those minutes. There's
You
probably
monster.
something wrong with me.
Probably.
Once Jedediah Jr. gets to the bottom of this rope ladder, he starts running off down a hallway. So this location that they are in is 100% real.
Go on.
It is known as Crocodile Harry's underground nest and dugout. The original Crocodile Harry passed away in 2006, but his dugout remains as a roadside oddity that you can visit and walk around in. It's $5 for adults, $2 for kids. It's open 9 a.m. to noon. They take a break for lunch. They come back 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and that's daily. Any day of the week, you roll into Cooper Pedy, you can go check out this place that they're running around in.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I want to go to there.
Well, I mean, we've been talking for years that we want to go to Australia. It's just the price tag.
When we do eventually get to go, I know this is so far out there.
Oh, yeah.
I want to go to this place. I want to see this.
Getting out to Cooper Pedy, that's like hire a bush pilot. I would want to hire a bush pilot.
Right.
So what's Jedediah up to these days? Jedediah Jr. Either of them. The
Looking
Jedediah.
scarily a lot like the guy who plays Jedediah.
Jedediah Jr.?
Yeah, no, I mean, major props to not only finding a kid with the chutzpah to play that character, but they cast him really well. Like, if you go and look up what the actor looks like now, he really does. Like, I thought they might have been related. They look so close. Which I found really interesting given, like, say, the person they got to play grown-up Wesley Crusher on, like, Next Gen, who looks nothing like Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big old square-jawed blonde man.
Oh, yeah. Because if adolescence wasn't, like, traumatizing enough for poor Will Wheaton, this idea that he will not grow up to be this golden Adonis is just an insult to injury.
I was rewatching episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation, and that episode came by, and I took a screenshot, and I tweeted at Will Wheaton, and I said, dude, what happened? He never tweeted back.
Will, come on.
Shocker.
Dude.
I had a note written down for Wednesday's Minute that I didn't mention.
Oh.
So the kid who plays Jedediah Jr., Adam Cockburn, he has a YouTube page.
Shut up.
I'm not kidding.
No.
He only has 3 followers. And he's only released a handful of music remixes, and they're from a few years ago. But he did one for We Don't Need Another Hero.
Of course he did.
I'll post a link on the listener page.
And then maybe he'll get a bump in followers thanks to your podcast.
I'm absolutely going to go follow him. In fact, I'm going to do it right now.
Fair warning,
Oh, boy.
Okay.
he calls his remix a chill step instead of a dubstep. And I don't know if I have an ear for it.
Oh.
It really just sounds like the audio is skipping because of a slow computer. It's just one of those things.
He now has 4 subscribers.
Oh.
All right.
And I
the
will
world.
watch these videos at a later time.
Okay, so I need to go back to Crocodile Harry's underground nest and dugout.
Yep.
So this is a pre-existing location that they chose to film in.
Yes, it is.
So is this just a wacky hermit who decided to live in this underground hole?
All right. Let me read from the webpage. The official webpage on atlasobscura.com talking about this place.
Oh man, yeah, okay.
Located in the self-described opal mining capital of the world, Cooper Pedy, where all of the structures are built into the cliff sides and ground due to the intolerable heat in the region, Captain Harry's former home is unmistakable. The titular captain was actually a crocodile hunter during his life before settling down in Cooper Pedy. A notorious personality in the town, Harry was well known for both his insane home and for his love of women. Unfortunately, the iconoclast rake died in 2006, in the end claiming that he was, in fact, a Latvian baron who had been in hiding since World War II.
What?
That is a lot to take in.
That he was, in fact, this was an actual fact?
That's what he claimed.
That's what he claimed. Okay.
A Latvian baron.
The article continues.
Oh no.
Luckily, Captain Harry's home remains and has been turned into an attraction for curious visitors to the remote town. The walls in his dugout are covered in all manner of recovered knickknacks and tribal graffiti, some placed by visitors, but most installed by Harry himself. Many who have visited the house have left their own messages on the rounded walls and ceilings, and many of the women who visited while Harry lived say that he would request a little ribald contact for the honor.
Oh.
Crocodile Harry's nest and dugout is one of the most visited places in Cooper Pedy, but will likely be remembered for its use as a set in such movies as Pitch Black and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Where was it in Pitch Black?
I'd imagine it was just everything in Pitch Black.
There was a lot of underground.
That explains the women's names that are graffitied on the wall that you can see behind Jedediah as the scene continues.
Oh, no, I need to go back and look at that.
I didn't look at that closely.
I did
you know what
not
it is?
notice.
I was too busy trying to focus on what he was reading than to read the walls behind him.
It's true.
You weren't alone on that one. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what he was reading, but that's further down in my notes. I haven't gotten into it
We are
yet.
seconds away from that.
Yeah.
Whole seconds.
That's fascinating.
I mean, like, okay, hang on a second. I'm really
unpack here.
I'm conflicted here. Like, okay, first of all, I don't know what this guy looks like. Maybe he's actually good looking. I don't know. But like, if some dude was like, I used to hunt crocodiles, you want to come back to my underground lair? Like, I don't know if I would go with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my underground lair.
Like, that's exactly what you're warned against when you do online dating, you know? Like,
People with subterranean lairs?
you don't go back to their subterranean lair.
You never go to a second location.
Well, I wouldn't go then. What?
I have found some pictures online of Crocodile Harry.
All right, hang on. I need to take a look.
Latvia's Crocodile Harry!
What? Oh no. What does he eat? No, don't even.
Probably crocodile.
That's a lot of beard. Oh dear.
Look at the arms on that guy.
Right?
I'm going to share a picture of Crocodile Harry.
Well, I mean, like, you gotta have those kind of arms if you're gonna fight a crocodile. I mean, like, even that's really not gonna stand against a crocodile, but you need enough to outsmart it.
Wow, he's quite a specimen of something.
So would you follow him to his underground lair?
No!
You know what it is? I look at him and all I can think of is the end of Planet of the Apes.
You blow it up.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, I'm glad I did that search. Latvia's Crocodile, inspiration for Hollywood. Oh, no. Was he the inspiration for Crocodile Dundee?
I would not be surprised at that point.
The world may never.
But has Latvia actually claimed him?
I don't know. This is the internet.
is
You
the
can only
question.
trust like 80% of
I mean, look, I want to look for like official documentation. It's just like, yes, we claim him as he is a son of Latvia to join the ranks of the many other Latvian heroes of the world.
I was scrolling through the images. When you search on Google image search for just Crocodile Harry, all of those pictures that we've been talking about crop up. But there's one in particular that caught my eye. It was a newspaper clipping, and the headline reads, Caveman Harry Hunting Virgins.
Whoa!
I can't read the text of the story itself.
So we have the flip side of the coin.
Well, they did call him a rake.
Yes. Not a surprising flip side of the coin.
And
Yeah, no. And this is definitely, like, it depends on who's saying, like, you know, he might not describe himself as such, but he probably would accept it because, like, you know, lol men or whatever. I don't know.
Karen, what'd you find?
Playboy Mansion of the Outback.
Okay.
I wonder if it was the Playboy Mansion of the Outback.
His cave in
I would hope
some of
it's
these
less creepy than
pictures
that.
are covered in crude representations of the female form.
Yes.
You mean, boobs. Look at that.
In the graffiti?
Yeah, there's like
There's sculptures. Oh, that one's just kind of off, you know, this thing. It's got its own little angle going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and just, that's not the Canadian flag. That's adorable. Look at that. Yeah. Oh dear. Is that a smiling sun? That's a sun, right? That's a sun. Yeah. That's,
I'm so glad you said yes, because I was a little afraid of what it might have been.
otherwise, yeah, no, that's,
I do have to admit, so, you know, we watching this and we watched, like, Jedediah, and they clearly, like, they're scavengers. I don't know that they're really capable of creating anything, so this had to have been there. Like, I can't imagine that Jed and Jr. built this place.
oh, that they found this place.
That
I
they
think
just
they
kind of
found it.
dug it out of the
I
cliffside.
don't even think they dug it out of the cliffside. I think it was already there.
They found it like that and they just started, like, using it as their base of operations.
Yeah, the thing
Mine
about
now.
this type of structure, if you can even call it a structure, it's more of just a dugout. People have been living like that in that area for a long time. When they first came to the area, they said, oh, let's just dig out our homes. There you go. So in a post-apocalyptic situation, it makes absolute sense that they'd be able to stumble across this thing and then decide to use it as a home base and then fill it with all of the stuff that they take, because they've got to barter something with Bartertown. If they want to keep that plane in the air, they need to trade something for the methane fuel.
Right.
That plane most likely runs on.
So they're stockpiling tradable goods.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
They're stealing more than they need to steal to continuously trade. So they've got surplus, which they are storing in these caves. And as they need it, as they have a slow week of pillaging, they say, all right, we'll pull from our stores, take that to Bartertown, get our fuel and our parts and our food.
And it makes perfect sense to have an underground. You're in the middle of the desert, so it's unbearably hot during the day, and it's frigidly cold as night as long as, once the sun goes down. So they live I'm all excited I get to use this word because I learned it recently and it makes me happy to get to use it. A crepuscular lifestyle.
Oh.
So nocturnal, more active at night than day. Diurnal, the opposite. A crepuscular is more active in the morning and in the evening, so sun up and sun down. So you can be underground during high noon in the dead of night because it's either too hot or too cold.
That, I think, explains fairly well why Jedediah is just chilling in bed reading a magazine, while Jedediah Jr., who cares less about his comfort level, is out playing, hunting, exploring, whatever he's doing. That explains why the dynamic is the way it is at this midday situation.
Stealing from trains.
Yeah.
I mean, especially since a kid is going to have a different biological clock anyway. You can, let him go out and tire himself out because he's going to have to come back in and take a bit of a nap anyway that I wouldn't have to as an adult. Kids need to sleep more anyway. Yeah. Let them tire themselves out.
Do we think this is the first train? I'm just trying to imagine, it works. They rob the train. Now you have a train. What do you do with the train?
You throw it in reverse and sell it back to the person that it got stolen from. I guess.
If there were a previous train, we would theoretically see it somewhere.
Yeah. Right, because it's not like a car or a plane or a motorcycle, whatever vehicle, where you can then move it to your own needed location.
Right.
A train is finite. It can be on the tracks or
you lug
derailed.
it somewhere else at best. Yeah.
Or you take it apart and
there's that.
You can now
turn it into a generator.
On the other side of the hill, there's just a train up on cinder blocks. Stolen.
What's funny about them using these train tracks is while they were making the movie, they would get maybe one or two shots in and then they would have to move off of that section of tracks so that an actual real train could go by, moving goods and people.
This is why they have those dumb way to die videos. You've seen that, right? It's the Australian railway.
Authority,
Have a video about don't play on train tracks. The dumb ways to die.
Yeah, that just came up in a podcast. Was it 99% Invisible?
It was
last week.
20,000 Hertz was talking about jingles.
Yes, and they brought up Dumb Ways to Die.
It's an infuriating episode because they started off with the music from a little charity called Cars for Kids.
K-A-R-A.
Shut the fork up. Do not dare.
They play it 3 times during the episode.
I do not want that to sully my podcast.
That's legit. That's fair.
I had to go all good place on you there.
That's fine.
Try and
I'm suitably chastised. I'll just be over here with my beverage.
Yeah.
But the dumb ways to die one, the video it's great. I mean, if you have a morbid, sick, and twisted sense of humor like I do, it's hilarious.
There's so many things I need to share on the listener page after this episode.
This is what happens when you let us join you.
Yep.
So many
You let us in the door.
But yeah, knowing that they had to clear the tracks because those were live tracks, that's not okay.
I mean, I can think of, I went to school with someone who was in the film department, in the film program, and they were like, all right, we'll just film a thing on the tracks over in the train yard nearby. And they did. And, they would basically have someone on the lookout be able to, let them know when a train was coming. But that's when they also learned that a train on the tracks, you'd think you'd feel the rumble coming. You don't. No. It just sneaks up on you. So they'd be be in the middle of filming or getting ready for a shot, and they turn around oh, there's a train right there. We should just step out of the way.
It would be like Stand By Me.
Yeah, it just,
bridge.
except you turn around and it's oh, it's right, you're right here. You are here. Hello, train. Oh dear.
The number of times when I was in undergraduate where I was almost hit by the trolley.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're so used to it, you just don't.
You don't feel it.
Hear it. Right.
You don't hear it. You don't feel it. It's just there.
That's so dangerous.
Yeah. Don't play on train tracks.
Yeah. Listeners,
Don't do it.
Just don't.
Don't.
Stay away.
This is your PSA.
So many dumb ways to die.
As we mentioned, Jedediah is spending the heat of the day lying in bed, and he's wearing these glasses that I'm assuming have little magnifiers in the front so he can use them to more easily read the text.
So there's reading glasses.
Yep.
I was wondering if it was those or if they were the glasses that allowed you to lie flat and still read like this, so they're like Periscope.
Oh.
What?
Have you not seen these?
Do those actually exist?
Those actually exist.
What? So you can lie flat and keep the book like perpendicular to your...
Does it come in prescription?
I don't
I think they're just mirrors. So you could...
Yeah, but
You could
the
just-
contraption
make
over
them.
your glasses.
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone's going on Amazon after this.
No. Maybe eBay first.
I was unable to do a proper zoom in enhance on this scene to figure out exactly what this magazine that Jedediah is reading is. I can see that the title is Holidays, and I think that particular issue is about the South Pacific Islands. But I could not find, through searching on the internet, who published it, what issue it was, what month it came out. I couldn't find any of that, and I was very frustrated.
It's a valiant effort, though.
So that gives me two thoughts. One, it's a shame that real life doesn't work the way that TV and movies does, when you can just say the word enhance and suddenly a picture just like enhances to a clarity that is just impossible.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's an inclination that they're getting off continent.
Yeah, that would be adorable.
Oh,
I think it's more
be
that
interesting.
they found a place with magazines that are still intact.
Sure. I mean, like, that's a possibility, but maybe he's
And there could be
considering.
hula girls.
But similar to the compound dwellers from Road Warrior, they can't stay there forever. If Jedediah and Jedediah Jr. never leave that hideout, Jedediah Jr. will have no future.
Yeah.
He will not meet anybody to mate with. He will not have kids. It's over.
It's very romantic the way you phrased that.
And isn't that what a parent wants for their kid? To someday find happiness and provide them with grandkids?
Maybe he'll meet someone in Bartertown. Maybe that's what the train pile is for. You know, eventually he can literally catch himself a catch.
Say, some people use Tinder, some people use Match.com, some people shovel a bunch of dirt onto train tracks and hope that they can stop a train full of people.
I mean, it's not my thing, but maybe there's a girl out there who would respond to, "This is a stick-up!"
That would be the most bizarre meet cute ever. And I'm not denying that such a thing would exist, but...
See, what we need is a remake of Beyond Thunderdome from Jedediah Jr.'s perspective, but he's played by Chris Hemsworth.
And then what
starting
you
to see a
do
trend
is just
here.
one of the kids in the background, they lock eyes, and then suddenly it goes like fuzzy and Dreamweaver wells up in the background. And that's how you know they were the OTP.
The problem is that Savannah is too old for Jedediah Jr. And we also know that she has already had at least one child.
Yeah, but I know someone who is recently single.
No. But Anna is recently single. Her significant other died that day.
Technically the night before.
Within the 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
She is not ready to meet cute some other guy.
Especially
she's
not when
still-
he's hijacking her train.
He's still a little young for her. Yet.
Yeah,
give her like
she's-
another
she's-
10, 15 years.
She's more
Maybe
or
we
less
start talking.
13. He might be like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
It's
Which-
kind of a Anakin Padme thing.
I was, thank God you went there
Which-
before me.
is about the same difference as you and I, but we're 36 and 31, so it's okay.
So give him like an
I try not to think about when you were 8 and I was 14. I don't think about those times.
You cradle robber.
Oh, learning so much this episode.
Scandalous.
Like that Rick is only 31 years old.
Oh, Muffin. I am so much older than you are.
You're older than Latvia, to be,
I am,
to be,
in fact, older
That's
than
true.
Latvia.
to be sure.
True facts, yo.
So, getting back to Jedediah Jr. in the minute, not, setting him up with anybody. He runs down the hallway, he's shouting, "Dad, Dad, we're dead meat, Dad, we're dead meat." And Jedediah, ever the caring father, always concerned with his child, says, "Okay, son." And Jedediah Jr. changes up his strategy, says, get in the plane. We gotta go.
Junior has a strategy.
Junior.
He has taken charge of this situation, and he's just ready to go. He just needs to get his dad on board. And when his dad isn't getting on board as fast as Junior would like, he moves on without him.
Mm-hmm. You can hear shouting in the distance from down the tunnels, and I think it's Savannah specifically who shouts, which way did he go? And then Jedediah is standing there and he's holding onto his little pith helmet and he's like, I warned you, Dad, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge.
I'm very impressed with the alacrity of which both Junior and everyone climbing down that rope ladder gets down. I mean, now admittedly, they're highly motivated.
Yeah.
But still, they had to carry Pig Killer down a rope ladder, you know? Like, I don't know, I was very impressed with how quickly they moved.
How has Pig Killer not passed out, either from blood loss or pain?
They might have patched him up in the meantime at some point in the past.
Get some
in a
dirt
second.
and just kind of rub it on there.
Meth. Nothing but meth.
That explains so much.
Yeah, that really does, actually.
They live in an alternative future where cocaine was never removed from the formula for Coca-Cola, so he's just hopped up. He's ready to go.
All right.
So the exchange here between the Jedediahs, like, it just feels like... I mean, on the one hand, if you're living in a futuristic, dystopic wasteland full of, like, angry dirt clowns...
Oh my god. The mental image of that in my head just went sideways. Please continue.
It's my fitting turn, I'm going to keep using it. And your child just comes in, like, alarmed and saying, like, quick, we gotta go. Here's the thing. In real life, this exchange, perfectly reasonable. Makes perfect sense. Like, this, like, yeah, okay, all right. Like, you know, my kid's up to his games again. And maybe he is. Maybe he's had false alarms before. But at the same time, like, the dirt clowns might be coming right now. Like, they might be coming to get you.
I would think that they would have a safe word.
Like a, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a code.
Yeah. That
Protocol.
It is time to go now, without questions. This is legit. We gotta go. And it would go both ways.
Yeah.
If one of them said it to the other, they would know. It's serious. It's time to go.
Yeah, so much of these movies kind of cribs from certain types of romantic relationship styles that you would think safe word would be something everybody would have, like, on hand, ready to go, you know? It's just all the fashions. So many outfits made with leather straps, you would... Yeah. But he doesn't. He just says, maybe it's dead meat, although that seems like a pretty ubiquitous one.
It seems to be one of his favorite phrases.
It is.
You're dead meat, we're all dead meat, Dad, we're dead meat, you know, start turning into a broken record.
I mean, sometimes kids, you know, they latch onto their favorite phrases and they say it all the time.
And sometimes they learn those phrases from irresponsible uncles and aunts and whatnot. And
maybe.
You have to tell them, don't say that in front of your mom and dad.
But neither you nor I know about this, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, it's all
We've
conjecture.
never had this conversation.
No, kid, just don't say this in front of your parents, okay?
So Jedediah Jr. runs off. He, like I said, gets the hell out of Dodge. And we're sitting in Jedediah's perspective, looking out across the bed, and we see a couple of kids run by, but then we see Max, and Max stops short as he runs. And I'm assuming it's because he's finally seen another adult. But as he walks closer to the bed, there's almost a look of recognition on Max's face. And then Jedediah gets another look on his face. I think we're supposed to believe that they're recognizing each other. But
Shenanigans.
the only thing that Max has seen from Jedediah is his outline sitting at the front of Max's wagon, and he's heard the phrase "Sayonara, sucker" said by Jedediah. I would put forward that it would have made more sense for Jedediah Jr. to yell, "I warned you, Dad," and then for Jedediah to use the phrase "Sayonara, sucker," and then Max would hear that and be like, wait a second, there is one other person in this wasteland that uses the phrase "Sayonara, sucker." I know, you're the guy who stole my wagon. Because despite how many times we have seen Max and Jedediah in close proximity, they have never once made it seem like they knew what each other looked like.
Because they do run into each other in Bartertown.
Yes!
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good call.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
So yeah, this whole you, me recognition thing, that they're getting acquainted with each other for the first time, but they still know what each other look like, it bothers me.
So what if it's just that, I'm trying to remember the shot when, at, like, toward the beginning, like, you know, like the "Sayonara, sucker" scene. Like, perhaps it's possible that there were certain shots like where he's more obscured to us, but maybe from Max's perspective, he got to see a little more detail of the person.
Yeah. If it happened that as Max was like sprinting after his wagon, he could see through the back of the wagon and get a sense of the exact build of the guy who stole his wagon. Okay, I can get behind that. I just feel like if it was supposed to be important,
it should have happened.
They should have showed it to us.
Yeah.
George Miller is amazing when it comes to show don't tell. He will show you things until the cows come home.
Yeah, he's not subtle.
And he won't tell you about it.
That's true.
There's so many things in Fury Road that you see and he doesn't explain it. There's no Wikipedia for the Mad Max universe. There's no 500-word explanation on what Fifi McAfee has for breakfast on any given day like there is for Chewbacca.
Do we know what Chewbacca has for breakfast?
No, because I haven't looked it up.
Oh, okay.
The arms that he ripped off of a person who cheated while playing chess.
Oh, the
I
shit!
guess
I'm just
so.
sitting there nibbling on it like a chicken wing or chicken leg.
See,
Like a porg leg?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like at the Ren Fair, just.
I'm terrible because while those are all amazing points and while I completely agree with you, I'm always there for the cheap laugh. So when he comes in and does that stuttering stop and it makes me think a little bit of like Tom Cruise's entrance in Risky Business.
Oh, I was thinking like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner.
Yeah, like the nice classic, like just kind of double take. Did me? Like, I don't know, the whole thing. I was just like, oh, this is why I love this minute.
Suddenly,
It's so ridiculous.
Suddenly I want to make that. I want to take this clip and just play that riff as Max runs by and then stops. I know that we've mentioned CinemaSins in the past, and I know some people hate it when I bring up CinemaSins because they have a burning hatred for that channel because...
I get angry at them.
How dare they rip apart the movie and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's not why I get angry at them.
But the last 60 to 90 seconds of every CinemaSins video where they do those little music cues and references, throwing like, how's the
funny
peeping,
dubs.
Tommy? How's the peeping? I freaking love that. I would watch a 20-minute video of someone just doing that throughout the entirety of a movie because I'll watch stuff and I will do that on my own and I just will never make it real.
So the closest that thing that comes to mind for me that this brings up is... Oh god, this is so old now. This is like creeping up to 20 years old. AMV Hell. There was a series.
Yes!
Remember those?
I have those downloaded on my computer at home.
Because you downloaded them from like Napster or LimeWire, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was just little quick clips of moments from anime and like dubbed over with something goofy. So like...
What's the anime with all the schoolgirls?
Oh, that narrows it down.
Okay, that's fair.
Azumangadayo?
I think so.
I think we're going to the same one.
They did it with the IBM commercial.
No.
I had a PC
Oh, yeah, you're
and
right.
then it like crashed when beep, 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 beep.
Yep.
That commercial.
Yeah, that was
And then they
Azumangadayo.
used the characters from that anime.
Is this similar to the G.I. Joe
The
Who Wants a
PSAs?
Body Massage?
Kind of,
Yes.
except it's the ups where like the G.I. Joe PSA, the Fensler film PSAs. I remember that. Those were dubbed over like by the ones making it.
Okay.
Those were original, like just goofball nonsense. AMV will actually take, so like there was another one that used the same anime, Azumangadayo, I'm pretty sure. There was like this creepy like mouth breather guy who really shouldn't be around young girls. At least that's the implication. And he has this like weird look, and there's a clip of him like putting a funny hat on his head and still having the same creepy look on his face. And they dub it over and they, sort of sync up his mouth flaps with that one really sad song that sings Happy Birthday at the end.
Oh, Mad World.
Mad World, that's the one.
Oh,
so they
okay.
dubbed that over him. Yeah, like all sorts of there were times when like there's a My Anus is Bleeding bit of the Rejected videos that's dubbed over a very serious anime. I think that was Grave of the Fireflies about radiation sickness in World War II. Like it's really dark stuff, but like that's what they did. They would basically just like mishmash like weird things to dub over these
It's been
animes.
so long since I've watched those, and I might have to do that later.
been a
Just
few
call
years
them
for
up
me.
on the computer and just watch them because
You just have to be ready for your soul to break a little bit because they're awful.
I think AMV Hell 3 might be my favorite one, but that's one is also like feature film length.
Yes, I never saw that one because I think that was behind a paywall at that point or something
Maybe.
like that when they released it.
I don't even watch anime, and I still love watching AMV Hell. Love it. Anyway, Max and Jedediah.
Smooth transition.
Beautiful.
Max points at Jedediah and says, "You?" No, he doesn't say it that way. He says, "You." And Jedediah goes, "Me?"
Oh my god.
Who else is he gonna be talking to?
It's brilliant though. That delivery of that line, because he sits up like a meerkat.
Oh my god, like, yeah, the speed with which he sits up.
And he takes those dumb glasses off. And Max is like, "It's your lucky day." And Jedediah is like, "It is?" And Max is like, "You've got a plane." And Jedediah is like, "I have?" And we hear the engine kick up, and then the minute ends.
I was so afraid when that started, when I was reviewing this minute, that we weren't going to get the plane, and it was just going to end with, "I have?" I'm like, that'd be great, but to me it's much funnier to have just the engine kick in at the end, and I was like, yes!
So good.
So glad it made it under the wire.
You don't always get the perfect ending to a minute segment when you chop up movies like this. But in this instance, it's so great, A, because it rounded out the minute perfectly, B, it's rounding out the week perfectly, and C, it's just a great comedic moment when you chunk it out like this. Because there is more that they say in this scene. You know, on Monday's Minute, Max is going to say, "It just might save your life." And Jedediah's be like, "It will?" And they have more to it. I argue that you probably cut the scene a little short. Like, go from Max and the others turning to look at the engine sound and then have all of them just running out the door. But I'm not going to make a fan edit just to change that one thing.
I mean, you could, but yeah, it seems like too much work.
Yeah, fan edits are a lot of work.
I can't help but wonder how long it would take culture to really devolve to the fact that, like, kids are using a Viewmaster and not realizing it's a Viewmaster. And then, of course, as I say this, because I'm like, how could culture really, like, tank? It's been 20 years, but then I sit back and I'm like, I bet there are a lot of people watching this movie for the first time who have no idea what a Viewmaster even is. And then it puts me right back into my place.
Yeah.
It's true, though at the same time, like, that's something that does pop up for me with Mad Max, like, in general, but there are definitely times where it's just sort of like you gotta roll with the lore, and it's always gonna be a bit vague, so you just gotta hand wave it. But at the same time, yeah, there are kids today who have no idea what a Viewmaster is, but the adult will be like, "Oh, that's a Viewmaster." Here it's just like, "No, here's the mythical tale of the before times."
And then
I've also forgotten, these things in my lifetime.
Yeah, kids these days, they don't play with hoops and sticks anymore. They're just out there playing on their Game Boys and viewing their video games.
Snapchats and Instachats and
Instagram.
and the My Face.
They don't do the ball and cup game anymore. It was so simple. You take the ball, you toss it and catch it in the cup, and then you just dump it out and do it again.
You hate yourself. In my day, kids knew their place and they just died of cholera.
In my day, kids worked a 16-hour day in a freaking factory.
And they were thankful for it because they weren't in the mines.
I think the difference between us now, looking back on our childhood when we had toys that kids now wouldn't recognize, and the post-apocalypse, is that now we have records of the things that we were playing with. We have photographs of us playing as children. We have vintage Viewmasters still in the packaging being sold on eBay. We have records and memories and movies and the internet and all the information that contains at our fingertips to keep reminding us this is what a Viewmaster is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm talking about living memory.
Right. And in the post-apocalypse, especially with the waiting ones, they have nothing. They don't have living memory anymore because their adults walk away and they have no more written records. They don't even appear to have basic written records that the group that was on the plane would have brought with them.
So they don't even have like a manifest or anything.
Right. If you're getting on a plane because the city you're in is being attacked and you want to leave, or has been attacked and you want to leave, wouldn't you take a certain amount of knowledge with you? I mean, in our modern age, we would have the knowledge. We would download entire encyclopedias onto our phones. We would have photo books on our phones. It would all be there. But in their day, wouldn't they take an atlas,
Photo albums, encyclopedias, journals, Wilderness
a Bible, like religious texts? Wouldn't they take those things with them?
I mean, not if they're leaving in a hurry.
Very true.
I know.
Not if they're leaving in a hurry.
I know what book I'm bringing with me. I'll just keep it on me at all times.
You can bring.
I was at work and the library was giving away books, and I found it's a surgical manual that has been decommissioned, and it actually has a hole in the front cover where there's a chain coming out of it because it was in the part of the library where they like chained it to the shelf. So I realized when the apocalypse comes, I can knit, and I have this book that teaches you how to do basic surgery, and that's it. I'm going to be like the medieval barber of the wasteland.
Did you tell me about
I
this?
sent you a picture of it.
Okay, no, I know about the book.
Oh.
No, I'm talking about something much more important, Karen. This is between friends. This needs to happen. When we did a post-apocalyptic episode on Foxes in the Henhouse, we talked about our post-apocalyptic plans.
I didn't have the book yet.
Oh, so this came with the book.
This is all very
This changes
recently.
everything.
Yeah.
Because, okay.
I mean, the knitting happened when we did that episode. I could knit.
The knitting,
then,
yes. That's
but I
guess that's true.
I didn't have the surgical book then.
Okay.
Now I do.
Look, you want to be in
Got
part
a
of my
chain?
convoy?
Sure.
I'm going to be an armorer because I got the chainmail.
When we're on the plane,
Yeah.
and the third person comes to sit and sees you making chainmail because we've got Ahab up 6 rows ahead of us with a harpoon gun. It's going to be the most kitted out plane.
We're going to be ready.
Yep. To leave those children alone in the wilderness with a Viewmaster. In fact, I'm only going to leave them Viewmasters because the only ones I have at home are like from the Great Muppet Caper.
Oh, those kids are going to be so confused.
Yeah, they are. You're welcome, children. You're welcome.
The world was destroyed because it was overrun by monsters.
You felt monsters with the baseball diamond.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I was so old when I caught that pun. I was way too old, baseball diamonds. Oh, I'm so ashamed. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I've already decided that if the end of the world comes, that I want to open up my own Thunderdome.
Brilliant.
Are you kidding?
I feel like that would be fun.
If the end of the world comes, I want to go down with the ship. I don't want to live through that.
But the possibilities.
You could have your own Thunderdome, or at least, stock options in a new Thunderdome.
You can keep the podcasting gig going with Thunderdome and be a commentator.
Yeah. I'm gonna find myself a judge's robe and get like a big stick that I can hold.
You should get like a chainmail shirt.
Yeah.
We'll do
Oh,
business.
well done.
Yeah, see?
And then I can walk in and be like, listen on.
See?
Here's the truth of it. And blah, 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 blah. And I do the whole thing.
I'm just not sure I'm cut out for non-modern living. I get tired of camping on the second day. Like, just give me electricity.
You're just gonna have to get yourself in charge of the city quick so that everyone brings you the things.
Yes.
You can be my collector.
Can't I be your auntie?
No.
Oh.
Well, this took a
We
turn.
leave them on their own now.
I was like, well, if you need chainmail clothing,
I got the
just
hookup
talk
for
to
you.
Liz.
Yeah.
No, I can take care of you. Yeah. I'll give you
Sounds
guys a
good.
discount, volume discount. Regular business.
Excellent.
I'm gonna have a fixed route. I'm already setting up points along the way. I talked with a surprising number of people about their post-apocalyptic plans because you got to be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See, we already live on a cul-de-sac. That's why I'm thinking that opening a Thunderdome would be good, because you just
get
put
the
the
space right
Thunderdome
there.
in the middle of the cul-de-sac.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you don't have to level the ground. It's already graded. And
It's like a latter-day bouncy castle for a house party, just right there in the middle of the cul-de-sac. Except the bouncy castle's full of death.
I'd have to raid a bunch of Home Depots to get all the pipes to put it together, though.
Bouncy
And I
castle
would
dome.
definitely go geodesic dome. I wouldn't go with the
Yes.
more angular, squared-off dome that they have in Bartertown.
So you want more of the California Love Dome?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
well, you don't go to war with the Thunderdome that you wish you had. You go to war with the Thunderdome you have on hand.
See, that's the nice thing about building your own Thunderdome, is you don't have to move into the Thunderdome that someone else built.
Yeah.
You don't have to settle for someone else's vision of perfection. You can build your own.
All I can imagine is what, after the apocalypse, if there are radio and television for podcasting, can you imagine the Thunderdome flipping shows that will be on the Home and Garden Network?
Oh, see, I went in a different direction. I was thinking, like, well, if Etsy survives the apocalypse, then you can put up the Thunderdome pattern, so you can make your own Thunderdome. A DIY dome. Thunder DIY.
I like it.
Yeah, Thund DIY. Nah, I'm going
As
to
you
stop.
can see here, we came to this Thunderdome, but there are ceiling fans, and I hate ceiling fans. So when we do the remodel of this Thunderdome,
One day we're hoping to have, little feral children, so I'm really not sure that there's enough room in this Thunderdome.
and there was it Shiplath, stuff the...
Shiplap?
Yeah, shiplap. Yep, that's it. We found that underneath the Thunderdome, so we're going to preserve that.
Has this Thunderdome been lead tested yet?
So I see that you're using the bungee cord method for your combatants. Have you thought about going something more pulley-based?
Ooh.
You don't get the relaxing that you get with the rubber tubing. You just have to adjust the weight as each combatant comes in.
And if you do it right, you can have 4 combatants because you could have them on pulleys with each other.
Exactly.
Ooh.
That's next level.
Tag team Thunderdome.
Oh my god, that's actually brilliant.
Until someone gets stuck in the pulleys, and then that's when I come in with the surgery book.
Boom! Yes! I love it. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of this week. Liz and Karen, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anywhere you would like to point people to on the internet to find more of your stuff?
Well, you can find us right now on Twitter. I am older than Latvia.
And I'm Hollywood Fat Cat.
I do not wrestle crocodiles, nor do I have a home that you can tour for $5 a head.
But I do make chainmail.
She does make chainmail.
Do we want to? We're between podcasts?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
I got a thing.
We've got a podcast in the works. It's likely to happen. It's really hard to...
Especially now that I know you haven't seen sneakers. What the hell?
Yeah, see. Well, there are only so many hours in my day.
I don't think that's true at all.
And I haven't seen, I don't know, my favorite movies a million times yet. Maybe sneakers will be... I don't know. We're going to work this out. We have this
We have a plan.
to work through.
So while you don't have anything concrete, we know that something is coming down the line, so we'll keep an eye out for that. Or I guess if it's a podcast, we'll keep an ear out for it, but you get what I'm trying to say.
You can see it in the distance as a wave of dune buggies after your train has just been hijacked by a small child with automatic weapons.
I love it.
So we're all dead meat?
Oh, that's a good name.
We're All Dead Meat, a vegan podcast.
A podcast on existentialism, nihilism, and dread.
I love it. I would so listen to that.
The episodes write themselves.
As for us here on the Mad Max Minute, we are going to come back on Monday. It is plain to see that there is a plane to be seen, so Max and the others kick up dust and climb inside Jedediah's flying machine, but they're not going to get far unless they can shed some weight. That is a problem that I feel like all of us have, but we will tackle that issue on Monday when we come back.
The Mad Max Minute podcast is a fan project by Rick and Julia Ingham.
Mad Max franchise was created by George Miller and Byron Kennedy, is presented by Kennedy Miller Mitchell Productions, and distributed by Warner Brothers.
Mad Max Minute is produced and edited by Rick Ingham. Our opening music is Verdi's Dies Irae by Daniel Batista of danielbatista.com, and our outro music is We Don't Need Another Hero by MilitiaVox of militiavox.com.
Our home on the internet is madmaxminute.com. You can follow us on Twitter at madmaxminute, like us on Facebook by searching for Mad Max Minute, and join our Facebook listener group, Mad Max Minute Beyond Microphone.
If you'd like to support the podcast, visit madmaxminute.com, where you can check out our TeePublic storefront by clicking the store link, join our Patreon by clicking the support link, or make a one-time donation by clicking the donate link.
Thank you for joining us for minute 93 of Beyond Thunderdome. See you next time.
Everybody say